You know, the big. I was speaking to my son this morning because I'm about to have my third grandchild, and we're talking about how they deliver babies in the UK, where they have to lay their backs down, which is not what we used to do back home. Because I remember, I don't even want to explain today and talk about that because women issues and vaccination, if you don't mind. Because I'm thinking the Western way is perverted. What they're doing in the West is basically not what we used to do back home.
Well, it has been a disturbing journey. The experience that I have is kind of, it's traumatizing because I think the way that my mother was born is different from the way the children of today are born, or different from the way I was born, my own self. So, like you were saying earlier on, that, Changabire here was talking about the vaccinations and things like that, about even the giving birth or being in water. I think that's not bad, but there's different ways that they're doing it now, which is not of our indigenous way of doing it.
In every home in ancient times, you'd have a bed stool. A bed stool, which you can also find on the Kemetic charts, which you can also find in the biblical narrative. When Pharaoh is talking about the Israelites, he says, by the time we get there to the women sitting on the stool, we find that they've delivered already. So show me a people on the face of the world that know about the bed stool. They are the owners of the text. So we cannot be taught religion by white people who don't even know what a bed stool looks like.
It's crazy. It's absurd.
So a bed stool was used for many things.
Yes.
Now, time for information, Gogo. I know some of these things are sacred, but the world and our African people are on a deathbed. We might as well just say it. A bed stool was a critical part of female health. Okay. It's a piece of wood that was open here where a woman could sit, literally squat, so to speak, and she drops the baby. But not only that, a woman can actually deliver herself correctly, like what cows and chickens and goats do, with no assistance. That's why Moses was told, but by the time we get there, she has already delivered. But these days, of course, pregnancy, sickness. So the bed stool would be actually used. It aligns the spine.
Because they have to use epidural these days, which is
we need to allow even our audience here to do some research for themselves. Go and find out what are the problems in terms of health of children that are born through cesarean section, and children that are born when your mother is lying down. What are the complications in spinal problems, head formation, muscle and reflex, and etc. Because every move as the child is coming out is actually a physiological alignment, as it were, activation of brain, muscle, and body to welcoming you into this space where you're going to be needing these muscles and etc. to work. But on the cosmetic section, the bed stool was a health institution for women. Then they would go to the bush and take their shrubs and herbs, put it in a dish, warm or boil up the herbs, then a woman would sit on the bed stool after going through their monthly cycles, cleanse the whole system. If they wanted to steam, they would steam. If they wanted to smoke, they would smoke. And if they wanted to warm up the pots before the husband came home, so be it. So it's a science.
Yes, it is. It is. I'm listening to you, man, and it's just like music to my ears, man.
Yes, and I think because that practice is no longer, and you get a lot of women that suffer from postnatal depression. What is postnatal depression? What brings postnatal depression to a woman after giving birth?
She did not deliver.
Wow.
And where she does not deliver and she does not breastfeed. And then she complains of breast cancer and cervical cancer and stuff like that. But what do you think happened to all that milk that coagulated in your breast and etc.? What do you think happened to it?
Wow.
So you drank your own milk.
So basically, them not going through a natural process has a massive impact on the body.
So every month when you're drinking tablets and you're no longer going on your periods, so where do you think those eggs are going? Your body wants to flush itself, and it's a system. So, and you have created a sewage tank for yourself by blocking your hormones from flowing. You would rather be breastfeeding your husband at night and giving your child plastic milk.
Wow.
And then when you suffer the catastrophic consequences of breaking natural laws, then becomes an epidemic, a pandemic, a problem. So IKS is a spiritual science, which we as Africans and as custodians, we look at you young people in the infatuation of your own scientific methods and it's swallowing these tablets you call
it's craziness, brother. It's crazy.
Sickness.
It is, and that's why I'm trying to get my head out around it, because everything that we're following in the world today, for me at the moment, none of it makes sense anymore.